meeting without a quorum, but we can go ahead and go through some of the agenda items.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
All right, call the meeting to order, even though it's a meeting, not a meeting. You guys want to give an update on the annual report?
Sure. Can I kind of do it just like a 109 board update?
Sure.
Okay. Let me share. Oops.
Oh,
Hey, everybody.
there's Greg. Still need one more.
Can you guys see the slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, just a quick update. Cost of services study RFP that we sent to the board at the last meeting. The board just want to let you guys know the board had approved that to move forward out to bid. It should have been out on this past Monday, and likely that it did. And I do want to ensure everyone that there will be a pre-bid meeting. But I don't know that that's been, the date has been set. Bruce and Sandra, I think you guys may be getting some emails about that from our purchasing department, kind of the same process that we've been through in the past. So just wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
I'm having a little difficulty with my computer. Hang on a second. I don't know what the situation is. There we go. Okay, the annual report. We do have a few people here that probably have not been through an annual report, and it's not the full presentation that I gave the 109 board, but I'm just going to kind of quickly go through this. The annual report is required to be submitted by each county or solid waste management area. Can be multiple counties, but ours is just Jefferson County. And so it's statutorily required that we do a 5-year management plan every 5 years. And then we do an annual update each year. What this is an annual update. It goes into a lot of pretty much every section of solid waste in Jefferson County, from enforcement, education, hauling, landfilling, and it's asking for statistics and things. So I won't go into each one. So I will go into some of the statistics. One of the bigger things that we do, because we get grant funds, is we have to track our litter activities. Last year, calendar year, we received $403,000 for litter abatement activities from the state of Kentucky. That comes from Department of Transportation funds. It's part of the Kentucky Pride Fund. It's part of the, tell you what, can I take because we're not in an official meeting, can I take just a few minutes and answer this phone call? And Karen, if you want to kind of go into your part and I can come back to it. Is that okay, everybody?
Fine with us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's a very important call.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. Well, let's see. So yeah, Pete was just doing the 109 board update, and some of it is repetitive because he does some of the same slides at the board. I have a staff update. So I decided that I would kind of share again, but a different portion of what education staff does. So I have a presentation. And I wasn't sure if Pete was gonna put slides into this. Do you all see that? Front slide. Just making sure. Right, everybody sees that, right? Nobody responded.
Yep,
Yes.
can see it.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just, I can't see as many people now whenever the screen is up. Okay, so I decided I wanted to give you guys an overview of what kinds of programs we offer. And I mean, I would hope that you all would kind of talk about your work, and this might help you all when sharing. So this on the left is a picture of our outreach program flyer, mostly for schools, but could be used by other types of organizations like Scouts or churches or something. But it's more of like the student programs. So it can't, any of our programs can be adapted, and obviously we would do things other than what's listed here. And then I wanted to call out that I do have the little phrase that these programs may be useful in building backpack of success skills. And if you're not familiar with JCPS, several years ago, they instituted the Backpack of Success, and to promote from 5th grade to 6th grade or 8th grade to 9th grade or to graduate, you do have to give a presentation sharing your kind of digital backpack. And so that's why we included that on our flyer. And then this QR code would lead to an outreach request form. So if anybody is interested in us coming, it just asks a few basic questions, and then we would get in touch with people. So I'm actually going to go through these things that are listed on here. So the only one that I'm not really going to talk about is the classroom waste audit toolkit, mostly because we've not yet done that. I would really love someone to reach out and want us to do that, but we haven't really done it, so I don't have much to say about it yet. But we do a lot of truck demonstrations, especially with younger kids, but they do love that. Waste collection staff will bring a recycling truck and some carts, and they talk about trash and recycling and the importance of putting items inside the cart, and then they show how the cart is tipped and how the truck moves it, and it's a good lesson, not only in moving waste and our tools that we use, but also safety, and it can be fun. They'll honk the horn and things like that. Sometimes on events we set it up to where kids can get inside, usually at a school setting like this one. They just kind of watch from the back. And that's Angelo. He's one of our waste collection guys who's really good and loves talking to the kids. Here we go. Another program that we have is a landfill model, and there's this brand called Enviroscape, and they make different types of models. I know Brightside has a different one. Some kind of watershed. I don't know. They're all different, but we have the landfill model, and you can see it there in front of Diane, and it uses these little sponges, and we kind of use like a Kool-Aid to dye and show how the water, rainwater and water like moves through, and there's kind of a little bit of a demonstration of the difference between modern landfills and like an old style dump that we don't use anymore, but it's very important, or shows how important landfills are and how they work. Diane does a great job teaching that one. You can see the bottle, it has a funny, looks like a cloud on top, so you can simulate rain. And feel free to chime in with any questions about any of this. This one is at the Girl Scout office, this picture. We've done that a couple years in a row, worked with them on the landfill model. And there's another program we've done at schools called Plastics Investigation. And you can kind of see we've repurposed some plastic containers that maybe had in it. And we also collected all different types of plastics, and we know what type of plastic it is, like the plastic resin number. And then they do some tests, like sink float tests to sort of investigate what they see and what happens, helps them learn that there are different types of plastic and how that relates to recycling. And of course, we talk about how plastic is made, how it's recycled, and how it impacts the environment when it's not put into a container and littered everywhere. So, so that's a pretty fun program that we've done at several schools. For preschool to first grade, mostly, we do a program called Don't Be Wasteful. And we've written this little interactive story that we call Wasteful Wendy. And it kind of reads a little bit like Amelia Bedelia, I guess, but in this case, Wendy is wasteful, and she does all kinds of things that are, you know, not, you're just throwing things away or cooking too much food and things. And we ask the kids to hold up their hands and say, "Whoa, Wendy," to try to stop and tell her why she's being, what she should do instead of being wasteful. All right, and then Discover Recycling is basically our recycling presentation that we use some pictures and some video clips we've had from West Rock for a long time. And then we hopefully it's a school or an organization that might want to improve their recycling. So we can talk about that too. We go to schools for other things. Coming up next week, we'll go to Brown School for their big Earth Day program. We've gone there every year, several years in a row. We do after school programs and environmental clubs, and then help with composting. We did with Bloom Elementary because they have a compost bin out in front of their school. And then this picture is from one random birthday party that we had because someone just reached out and said their kid wanted a recycling birthday party and asked if we would do it. And we just said, sure, why not? So Diane did that. It was a great time. We also take all of our information on the road, and we go to public festivals. And this picture is actually from the Paris Town Garden Show that was just last Saturday. Diane's going to be at the zoo on Sunday for their Earth Day celebration. We'll be at the Festival of Flowers in Beachmont on May 11th. Tree Fest was that Saturday too? All these days are running together. And then in the past, we've done the Buy Local Fair. This is not an exhaustive list. It's just kind of what I could think of that we either have done a lot or do every year or have it upcoming. So, and then like this was Paris Town Garden Show, and we were focusing on composting there since it's a garden show, but it depends on what it is on what topic we might focus on. A lot of, like at the zoo, we're going to talk about recycling, and we co-host our table with West Rock, and Karen Brown's going to be there with Diane. We've also partnered with the library a lot and offered to be at some library programs or have programs there. So like the Western Branch block parties every summer. We're not going to be able to do the How To Festival this year because it's just on a day when everything else is also on it. But Bon Air Library, we've worked with them a lot just to host some Saturday programs. There's not always tons of people, maybe 6 or 8 people, but they just really seem to like having us, and they always go really well. So we continue to have that, have some of those on their calendar. And the Northeast Library has a lot of preschool programming going on, so we've done some truck demos there. And this is just a flyer that the library created when I spoke there last, I guess it would have been last year, maybe on that flyer, or maybe it was this year. I don't know. It all runs together. And then this is, we also go to businesses sometimes. And actually that picture is from today. Diane is there, I think still. at Brown-Forman Sustainability Fair. This is our second year of working with them. I'll be going next week to Schneider Electric. They've had me out for their Earth Day festivities a few years now. And then we've also tabled the Louisville Metro Wellness Expo to try to touch base with employees who, sometimes are really interested in recycling in whatever department they're in, but also have a lot of questions based on where they live. So, which, we have employees from all over. And then we just decided last December that we would host public classes at Merriweather. We decided we have that room, like where we used to have in-person meetings. And we thought we would just try it out. So we did a class on sustainable gift giving in December. And this season, spring, I'm trying to kind of do these seasonally. We decided to offer a composting class, and we already have, I think, about 35 people signed up. So I'm kind of kicking myself for not having two options, but we'll just see how it goes. So, so it is next Thursday, April 25th. So this is our most current program that is public, and that's a little flyer I made for that. So it'll be at the Merriweather office from 6 to 7.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been looking at that poster. What's in the bucket that they're ready to pitch for?
Yeah, that's the compost bin. That's the Earth Machine compost bin. It's actually mine.
It looks like plastic or something. I can't tell what that
It's
white is.
newspaper.
It's just newspaper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. That picture was taken back when my daughter had a rabbit, and we would have newspaper lining it, and I would kind of tear it up and put it in. But yeah, that's just a photo that we used. Mainly because the Earth Machine compost bin is the style that we sell. And that's the one I have. So, if
I just wanted to make sure nobody thought from a distance, I couldn't tell what it was, and I want to make sure nobody thought
no, not plastic.
contamination. All right.
All
I
right.
have to tell you, the only thing left in my backyard were my 2 compost bins. For whatever reason, they didn't blow away.
I just hate that. I hate that happened. So that was what I had. I don't know, Pete, are you back? We can continue. I can continue answering questions and things, but that was the presentation that I had as a staff update. I just wanted to make sure you all were aware of some of the things that we offer, especially if you're in conversations with people that are maybe teachers or even just would like to learn more as a group. We go wherever to talk about recycling. We're always trying to promote it. Today, my husband works at WLKY, and they've been wanting to recycle more. They only do cardboard right now. So I was talking to them, and she may even set up a time for me to come present to staff. So, it can be kind of random. We do promote things through social media. And if you're looking for it, hopefully you can find on our website. But sometimes it's just word of mouth as well. So, we like for people to know that we're out there in the community, and we are willing to share and present. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions on that?
No, just great work getting out there as someone who's tabled a lot over, especially the summer. It can be exhausting. So really
Yes.
appreciate you guys getting out, because I know it's a lot of work, but it's really valuable.
Yes, it can be a lot of work. We this month especially, of course, like Earth Month, I'll be actually on Monday, I'll be at Waterfront Botanical Gardens. We have a former zoo friend that works there now, and she created a program called Coffee and Conservation with Karen. So apparently 50 people signed up to come to that, and I can't even believe it. So that'll be.
I have to tell you, I'm one of them.
Oh, are you good? Okay.
Yes.
Well, the focus on that one is food waste, so it'll be a little different than what we talk about with students a lot. But yeah, I'm excited about that. We, like I mentioned in the slides, we have a lot of Earth Day events and things that we try to attend. And Diane is very good about going and tabling and doing a lot of that work. And we also get some volunteers, as you saw, like in our Harristown picture. We have our ambassadors that help. So it really helps ease the burden on especially the busy spring and summer events when we can get some volunteers. So
Well, thank you very much for the update, Karen.
no problem.
I can jump back in.
Great.
Okay, so talking about litter, and last year, calendar year, we cleaned 10,300 miles. We picked up almost 2 million pounds of litter. We did 946 tires and 5,230 other items, which could be a couch, but it would also contain a lot of car bumpers we have more accidents that aren't getting cleaned up. And that's something that we've been working on with the board to send letters to those. Hopefully that will start to abate somewhat. We did get the 403,000 in grant funds, but obviously we spend more than that. Last year, what we tracked was we spent 1,400,000, roughly 1.5 million. What I would tell you is that this does not include a lot of vehicle cost. If we did, that number would still be significant, and that's a lot of money, right? But we still have a long way to go. We still have to keep plugging away, and that's when we get to our next education campaign that we've been working on. One of the things that I would point out here is the contractual, the expressway hand cleanings. We spent $718,000 cleaning up the interstates. That's 4 times around the interstate. And we do that when there's no mowing. And that's a lot of money that we put on a state road, which is not necessarily Metro's responsibility. But if we didn't do it, it wouldn't get done. So that's a big one, because most of the complaints that we get about litter come from the expressways. Any questions on litter? Cool. Curbside collections. Last year, the amount of waste that was collected from curbside, meaning garbage carts, there was over 324,000. Karen, can you go to the drive, and I put this into the advisory committee drive, and take this conversation over. I've got a situation that I'm trying to deal with that I have to deal with. I apologize again, and I'll be back hopefully shortly.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Let me make sure that I'm okay. I don't know if I can say what he's got in these slides, but I will certainly try. Let's see. Where was he? Litter activities. Okay, everybody see that?
Yeah.
He just flipped over to garbage or curbside collections.
Yeah, that's where he was right there.
Okay.
Because he was talking about the 324,000 tons for all collections. And then the garbage carts is 272,000 tons.
Yes. So honestly, I will just leave this up for a second and you can kind of take a look at that. I know the trend, you know, the diversion rate was kind of down. And I can't remember what he said, different things that could attribute to these numbers, but sorry, this isn't going to be a great presentation. Does anybody want to say anything about this chart?
No, but tell me what the actual definition of the diversion rate is.
Diversion rate is usually just a division problem of the recycled material divided by total material. So you want a higher diversion rate, meaning that much was diverted away from the landfill. That doesn't necessarily, I said recycled, but it could be the composted as well. So just anything.
Right now it's adding them together. The recycling is the 8.3% of the total, and the yard waste is 7.6% of the total mass collected. Those two together mean that 15.9% of the total mass collected was not landfilled. It was sent to one of either the MRF or the yard waste facility. But why would it go down so much from, I mean, that's 2 full percentage points from last year to this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
Let me see this one. So this is where we have like the pricing differences. And all the haulers, the unnamed haulers and their average prices for each service.
Per month?
Yes, yes.
Are those based on flat fees, or are they getting paid by the ton, or?
I can't answer how they decide their pricing, but it does say the average cost includes contracted and subscription services. I would assume those pricings would be a little different because of the volume you're collecting.
Actually, it can't be per month. It would be too high. It would be too much.
I was thinking it was per month, but
I believe it is structured on a per month basis, but it does seem rather high.
That
Again,
does,
which
because
hauler-
most people, if that's per month, for example, hauler 3, can you imagine what that would be annually? And I don't know anybody who's in a contracted area, who's in a single family home, who's paying $58 times 12.
yeah, and now that you say that, gosh, sorry, if it wasn't per month, what would it be? Per
I don't know.
quarter?
That's why I asked the question.
Has to be per month.
See, if you look at that pricing chart that he put together, you can see which hauler does not want to collect what item. Hauler 3 obviously does not want to be contracted to collect yard waste.
Right.
So what you're saying is that typically people are paying that person $19 a month.
Well,
Right.
it's a menu offering. So
Yeah.
the hauler has to offer all 3 services, but in the subscription area, the customer does not have to choose all 3 services.
Right.
So
I
if
see.
hauler 3 does not want to provide yard waste service, they price themselves unreasonably high and no one contracts for it. So whereas they have to offer all 3, normally they're only contracted for 2 out of the 3.
Yeah.
That would be I guess, my opinion of this chart. And I certainly don't understand the logic that goes into the chart. I can't even remember what hauler we are at this point, even to debate the rate.
Let me see what the next slide is. Oh, and the participation, yeah. Which I know Pete always makes a comment about how it's required by law that you have garbage service, so really we should be at 100%, but we never are. Slight increase in occupied households over previous years with census update, but not enough to account for the decreased percent in households with garbage services. 3.3% equates to about 9,300 households without services. So I don't really know what that means for what they're doing with their garbage, but and then commercial collection, hauler commercial dumpsters. Sorry, my thing keeps popping up stuff. There we go.
I'm back.
All right, Pete, are you
Okay.
you're back?
Yep.
Question. Is this monthly?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And I share my screen because you grabbed I think the wrong slideshow. It's got a lot of the same slides though, so no harm.
Oh, okay. Well, well, whatever. Do you want to switch out? Are you back or maybe?
Yeah,
not?
I'm back.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay.
There might be more questions that you can answer. I'm doing a terrible job of being Pete.
Okay. Were there any questions
So
on the
one
percent?
question, yeah, one question here was, why did the overall diversion rate drop by, it looks like over 2 or about 2 percentage points
Yeah.
from last year?
It's a curious question, and lots of times we don't know what the reason for that is, and all we can do is try to make educated guesses. Some of that could be every other week recycling with less volume for people to put their stuff over 2 weeks versus one. We found that some people in the USD that had carts already that go into every other week cut down on the material that they had. Love to add another cart. The other thing is that contamination may be less. Contaminants in recycling tend to be heavy, which could be impacting the weight percentage. So you got what that is. The
Why do
number
you
of
think contaminants
people,
have gone down?
I think we're doing a really good job compared to most cities with contamination. We haven't gotten a report recently, but these are the types of things that we follow up on to see if what we think is true. You know, I don't think the number of recyclers decreased. I don't have that, but I don't think the number of recyclers actually decreased in the community. It stayed about the same. So some of that, and you know, the single stream recycling seems to have went down. If you know, there's any number of things, and I really can't answer that. Metros, ours stayed about the same, maybe a slight decrease. People maybe are recycling less. You also look at when COVID hit, recycling at the curb went up. Is this because it was up in that year and this is sliding down? I don't think so, because I think I've calculated for that. So anyway, I mean, the true answer is I can't really say with certainty what the issue is and why. I think it's something for us all to examine. Did that answer your question in a very vague way?
Basically, the answer is we don't really know. I mean, I guess the
Exactly.
companion question is, why was the diversion rate, why did it peak in 2022? What caused it to go up from 21 to 22? Did something happen to encourage better recycling?
That's a good question. When I don't know that I know the answer to either. I would have to go back and look and analyze what drove that increase. It could have been a certain product that went way up for some reason, and I don't know.
Wasn't that during
Keep-
COVID? Steve?
Excuse me?
Was that during COVID?
No, this was, would you say that things were opening back up at that time? Were people getting used to getting more packages at home? I don't know. I really don't know the answer to the question. So,
I know the fiber market picked up a bit and it did increase recycling somewhat. I can't say that that's the major component of why it peaked. That was basically ongoing at that time.
yeah, it could be that certain commodities were picked up, but that does not necessarily mean household behavior changes, unless it's something that's being delivered to the house more.
Right.
Uh,
We did see the Amazon effect during COVID with household deliveries on cardboard at the curb. And that's one thing we certainly did see. But this would have been following COVID.
Yeah. I don't really know the answer to the question. I really don't. Any other questions?
I have a question, Pete. Are one of these haulers Louisville Metro? Like
Yes.
Okay.
It's the Metro DPW.
Oh, okay. I did not, thank you. I did not gather that.
That's okay. Variable rate pricing. I think we've seen a steady climb over time. I think that is absolutely to be expected, particularly with inflation the way it is, and the struggle for employees has been tough. So I think that this is pretty much expected, this increase. But it does, who that hits is the people that are at the margins. And, what you can get is less people obtaining these services. So that's where I would want to talk about this, which is the percentage of people with services. There was a slight decrease in the percentage of people with services. Now, this is a very difficult thing to measure because we use census data. There was a census data update, but that update in households, increases in households, doesn't really account for this amount of drops. So it could be a combination of the census data. It could be a combination of the price increases. But what it basically equates to is an estimated 9,300 households out in the community that don't have service. So where does that stuff go? It's got to go someplace. So some of this goes to their place of employment. They take it to their dumpster at work, or the place that they own. So they don't have service. It could go into a neighbor's container, so that because they don't want it there. It could go on somebody else's dumpster that didn't give them permission, which is illegal dumping, which we know for a fact that is happening. It could go on the side of the road in the form of illegal dumping, which we know is occurring. And the last, it could be building up in somebody's garage, attracting rats and the like, because we do get those complaints and go and find people, they don't have service and they're filling up their garage or the place on their property with trash, or they're burning it. None of those things are what we really want. So that's an important number, but it's also, I couldn't give you a plus or minus, but there's a significant number of people, particularly by my understanding from some Metro Council people in certain areas of town. And it is just what it is.
If we could go back to that slide real quick, look right there. The 2022 was where the recycling service rate peaked and specifically the yard service rate peaked. And then 2023, both of those dropped down. The yard service dropped down below the 2020 levels. And if the yard waste, the yard material is particularly heavy, that could be why we saw a drop in the diversion rate well below 2022, even below the 2021 rate, if you took that yard waste stream out. If households
Yeah.
just don't have access to that.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look at other data to find out if what stream could have caused it. You're right. Recycling, or excuse me, yard waste is heavy compared to recycling. So that's a very good thought, and that could be driving.
And if it drops significantly for 2023, you know, people say, well, that's a luxury I just can't afford. And so they're not diverting that right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something to go look at. Commercial collection. This is basically tons. These are businesses. The front load dumpsters that tip up and down. You know, 13% recycling rate. Honestly, that's not too bad. I would hope that we can get that up a lot higher because businesses have a lot of recycling, particularly office buildings. And office buildings, it's like metro government buildings that we have. We tried for years to get our recycling rate up in our buildings by getting people to divert it into smaller containers. Every time that we thought that we was doing great and we was up in that 20 or so %, the garbage dumpsters were just still overflowing with recyclables. So that's when we switched to a wet dry type system or a dry waste system in metro government buildings. And we went all the way up to, I think it's 70% diversion or recycling rate in metro buildings, which is awesome. But really what it came down to is we quit relying on people's behavior and collected everything. Hardly anything goes to the landfill. So that's what that was about. Any other questions on those statistics? I know that's a really quick review, and as you can see, it would be easy to get into the weeds on those.
Do we have outreach to businesses to encourage them to do business level recycling? I'm shocked that that previous slide were the low percentage rates, that why businesses aren't recycling, because at the business level, I save money every time I divert mass to my recycling bin because I just pay for hauling on the recycling. My single stream mixed recyclables is cheaper than my landfill. My wood scrap is cheaper to recycle than to landfill. This is crazy why at the business level, there's not a higher diversion rate, because they would save money if they recycled.
I would say that that's not always true.
Yeah.
But what I would say is it's going to depend upon the business, the waste streams that business generates. Like I said, it's talking about office buildings or a store like Kohl's. Kohl's went at one point. I know that they went to dry waste. They didn't have a dumpster for trash. Everything went because they had so much boxes, they had so much paper, that's what they had. So they was able to go to dry waste. But that's not always the case with all businesses. And adding a waste stream, if you have to have trash, then that means you have to have two services, regardless. And so that's going to cost you a little bit of money.
Well, but here's
as
the thing.
far as
So
the-
I was gonna say,
I'm
if
sorry.
I have 60 cubic yards of stuff that I'm generating a week, that could be two 30-yard boxes back and forth to the landfill. And every time it goes to the landfill, I have to pay tipping fees and taxes there. Or I could have a 30-yard box going to the landfill once a week and a 30-yard box going to recycling once a week. That recycling box, I'm only paying the hauling. I pay no tipping fees. I pay no taxes, no regulatory fees on it. So
Well,
I'm
that's-
still generating 60 cubic yards worth of stuff, but I'm saving money by recycling half of it.
So it depends upon what you have in your recycling box as to whether or not that there would be a fee. Does it have to be separated? Is it source separated? Like if it's got to go to West Rock and it's going to have
Right.
to be separated, the commodities, that's a processing fee. So,
But that's
that
not
takes-
passed on to me. My
They don't know how to
hauler
pay?
does not pass on West Rock. I just pay a flat fee to have it hauled there.
Well, I would say that you might be one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Anybody, Bruce, can you share on that a little bit? I don't know. Are you all taking recycling dumpsters at just the transportation fee?
No, normally the monthly collection for a recycling container would include the collection cost as well as transportation to the recycling facility and then a processing cost. Ms. Greenberg is getting processing for free. I commend her. That's great. Normally, the processing cost is anywhere from $35 or higher for single stream recyclable. $35 per ton.
So I think it's, to that point, I think it's very specific to the business. And I want to go back to the first thing that you said, which was, do we have any outreach to that? And that no, only on request. That is something that was put into the 5-year plan as a weakness and as an action item. So as we develop our education team, it's our goal that we develop packets for the different types of businesses because they're different, and to also have an outreach program that goes and gets new recycling. Very difficult to be proactive with our education because we don't have enough people to do that. We are hopefully going to be adding another educator, hopefully through general funds of Metro government to add another person. So that will help. But, education is a big key to increasing the recycling numbers, and being able to get that outreach is big. So your point is absolutely right. We do need that. Any other questions? Okay. Wanted to update people on the host community agreement. We've got a committee. We have not met. We met with our local assistance, the Kentucky Local Assistance Branch, to get our last official authorized capacity approval because that's important when negotiating host agreements. We're also in discussions with Tom Fitzgerald, who is loosely still affiliated with the Kentucky Resource Council. Tom he helped Metro the last time that there was a amendment on our host agreement, and he helps people all across the state. So that request has been made. We have not gotten a response yet. And we also got an opinion from the Jefferson County Attorney's Office on the Open Meeting Act's requirements in this case. And what it is making sure that we don't run afoul of the law, and we don't want to do that. But we also want to be in a negotiating position and both to strategize and to negotiate. And there are some exceptions in the Open Meetings Act that allow that to happen. So in general talk, we're open session. And when it becomes part of negotiating, it is closed session. But we have to obviously tell results of what takes place. So, we just wanted to make sure that we were going to be good in that. And I personally, initially, I undersold that in my mind. And I was called out, not meanly or nothing like that, but for a good reason. So we want to make sure that we're doing things right. And public input on this is extremely important. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. Any questions on the host community agreement? Okay. The last thing that I have that really hasn't been brought to the 109 board, but I feel like that it should be brought up here. The tornado debris, the tornado damage. Metro enacted its emergency response contractors that we have. One is Ashbrit. They are the muscle, the cleaners. And I don't know, Sandra, if you've seen the size of the trucks that are collecting in that area, but they are massive. And I wish I had time to get a picture in here. The estimated debris from this is 5,000 cubic yards. In comparison, last March that we had the windstorm that affected the entire county, we didn't have nearly, not even close to that amount, and it took us weeks. So we're glad that we can activate that contract, and we have that contract. The second one for Tetra Tech is a monitoring company. And what that does is ensure that we are documenting things in a manner that would allow us for maximum recovery of funds if there is a recovery stream available. Typically, that would be FEMA funds. Whether or not that we meet that threshold is still up in the air. So
What is this threshold?
for Metro, I think it's 3.6 million. For the state of Kentucky, it's 6.8. Those are roundabout numbers. So if the state meets theirs and we're under, we're still good. If we meet 3 point, then our county is good and not the rest of the state. So
Somebody told me that FEMA money can only be used on publicly owned buildings, whatever. Is that true?
it does not apply to private roads. So when we've gotten into this, and one of the reasons we didn't think that this would be an event that would qualify, but we felt like that it would be in our benefit to do this. Number one, because it needed it. But number two is you can't get a better exercise for learning about debris management than to actually utilize the stuff. We had an exercise that was scheduled for the 17th for debris management, and we canceled that, and we're going through this, and we'll take the learnings. So that was huge. It was huge, and the learnings that we're getting is huge. And one of those, to Sandra's point, is jurisdictions and how things have to be separated. So when a collection truck is going from one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction to another jurisdiction, how do you keep that separate? So that's where the Tetra Tech firm comes into. Everything is geolocated. All of the different I don't say responsible parties, but jurisdictions are geolocated. So when that truck goes into another jurisdiction, it's tracking for that jurisdiction. It is an incredible system that Tetra Tech has.
And is FEMA only for picking up the waste? Is there any process for doing things in the future? For example, just trees alone, it's beginning to look like our small city lost 500 mature trees.
Yeah, so what I can tell you that I know about the FEMA reimbursement process when it comes to private property or when it gets into the detail, the weeds a little bit is I don't know enough to talk about it. I do know that the more difficult place is a gated community and a private road. When it comes to the pickup, our focus is on that debris management. So we don't go on to a private property to get material. So our focus was on finding volunteer groups that can scour that area and give assistance to get people help to get the debris to the curb. In which case, the next phase came into part of this, which was the set out rules. And we want to recover as much as we can because a large event can really produce a massive amount of material. I believe that this has hurt other cities, their landfill space. So what we do is we ask them to, according to the guidelines that we have, is to separate their debris at the curb. Sometimes that's not going to be possible. There's going to be mixed debris, particularly with a tornado and the damage is catastrophic. But if in this event, it appears there's very little of that. And most of the debris is being set out segregated, like we're asking people to.
I
So
think this
that-
graphic did very well. It's gone around our city in a whole bunch of different ways. And I drove around the first day of pickup, and the bulk of what I was looking at was segregated like you've asked them to.
Mhm. So one of the things that we've also learned is misinformation. You got people kind of hijacking the message a little bit and spinning things, which makes it difficult for volunteer organizations. So the first organization that we had come in was called Team Rubicon. And, they deployed and they were overwhelmed, quickly overwhelmed. But people, I think, were placing some pretty big expectations on what they can do and what they can provide. They can't take down trees that are still standing. There's things that take place past that, like dangerous trees that have to be looked at on an individual case-by-case basis that may be eligible. There may be eligible funds for houses that present a hazard to the community. So a lot of that is down that rabbit hole a little bit and what we have to continue to work on as far as our debris management plan. So this has been a valuable tool to us, and we're going to continue to plug this plan together, put this plan together, and make it something that works. I'm truly impressed with our contractors at this point. The coordination between all the different organizations, from Metro to Prospect to people that are in that unincorporated area to Metro Parks. Metro Parks was also hit pretty hard. So people have really worked together on this thing. It's been pretty impressive. And we're going to take these learnings and keep on putting this thing together. And hopefully for the next one, we're a little bit more prepared. And, I have to thank, our vendors, Waste Management of Kentucky, Outer Loop Landfill. I'm not sure how much debris that we've taken to them, but they have been more than happy to work with us and being flexible. The same with Smith Creek, which probably most of this debris is going to go to, which in all honesty is really not all that far from where this happened. So in a bigger event, we won't have direct haul, but a lot of it would be going to a DMS. And a DMS, that's our biggest hurdle in our debris management plan. We need massive sites of up to 50 acres to put a true DMS on. And our community estimated we need about 3 if we had a widespread, serious to catastrophic event. And some of these debris management sites are not going to be able to be located in Jefferson County because we don't have the space. Even the place where they have at the fairgrounds, Bourbon and Beyond, I think that's 30, almost 40 acres. We talked about that when they said they would use that one up pretty quick. So these DMS sites, they bring the material to there first. They process it to reduce it before it goes on to its ultimate location, which hopefully is a lot of recovery versus landfill, so that we don't use up a massive amount of space or years of landfill space on one event. So more to come on that. It's a big thing to be into, and it gets really complicated fast. But I think this event's the money that we've spent on this, even though we didn't think that we was going to get recovery, has been a huge win, not only for the people that live there, which were in, great need, but also the learnings is going to help other people in our community for sure, because these storms are not getting less frequent. They seem to be getting more frequent. We have opened up our pop-up the drop-off sites for these storm events 4 times last year. We rarely ever do that. So I can answer any kind of questions you guys have. We're still in the midst of this. Anything else? And that's it. DCK.
If there's no questions about that, I did have a few things to talk about, Bruce, that have more to do with the I forget how I wrote it on the agenda, but the education
Yeah,
about next
outreach
steps.
program or update, and update about next steps.
Yes, so I'm gonna pull my other presentation up again. All right, do you guys see this? So this is the slide I had last month, where just sharing the main education goal is to improve recycling messaging to be more consistent countywide. And then I had shared this. I kind of grayed out the question mark ones because although they are important, we were focusing on the audiences, more just residential new current recyclers. So the idea, I guess we're not quite sure what's going on with Bob Lee because he does normally come to all the meetings, but he wasn't here last month and he's not here today. But we wanted to talk to him about setting up a meeting with waste haulers, kind of, I think, to go through the NWRA. Is that correct, Bruce? Going through him as
Yeah,
the
that would be
representative.
correct way to arrange that, to go through NWRA.
Yeah, so I just kind of put this out here. I know there's not a quorum, but I'm happy to just kind of make sure I'm on the right track or brainstorm or whatever. So we don't have a date because we haven't been able to connect with Bob yet. But the participants in a meeting would be representatives from entities that haul residential waste and recycling. And our overall goal, as mentioned, shown in that previous slide, is to improve recycling messaging. But then the purpose of the meeting, so we want the waste district, that's us, is seeking input from waste haulers on how to effectively give consistent messaging throughout the county. And I wondered, first of all, I was thinking that at this meeting, I want to determine how each hauler communicates with residents and then which of those methods could be used to share district information. Also determine how the district can create consistent content while respecting the independence of each hauler and their branding. And then also discuss approval processes that we would go through with each hauler on being able to share content through any of these avenues. And then I put a little note on the side there, can these questions be answered through a survey prior to the meeting? Because I wasn't really sure if having a meeting, if that's a good time to have everyone saying all these things, or maybe we can kind of prepare for the meeting by knowing some of this. So, so I kind of just wrote this out to get some feedback in preparation for, working with Bob to set up a meeting.
I think that's going to be critical to get the Bob for his, I guess, inclusion to the NWRA, because obviously, waste haulers, there's a lot of service vendors, and we want to be cautious about being accused of collusion. We normally don't meet as a group without legal representation or, or through a group like NWRA. So there normally are governmental representation when it comes to, what the group would be willing to do, what we could release and whatnot. So if you give us the Bob, it'll give him an idea where you want to go, Karen.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that's the last slide I had. Okay, so are there any other from everybody else, like any other things I should add to the ask, I guess?
I don't know about asking, but I think the issue is not really just consistency, because I think that gets into what Ruth was just talking about. I think that's an issue, but I think the bigger issue is, how do we get information out to people? How do we help the waste haulers get information out to people? And then once we determine that, then we worry about the consistency. Because I think you're going to find that a fair number of people, the whole thing that happens to them is they get a bin or whatever. It's got usually a decal on it, and very little else other than that is done. So I think there's a threshold question before we get into just consistency. Okay.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that we've done a lot of work up to this point to have those materials present. We have utilized the expertise on this committee to develop those types of methods. So I think it's important that we don't go to them empty-handed either.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And I think some of what you've done is what causes the decals, everything, or whatever we're getting to start with. I don't think we would have necessarily had those, or they wouldn't have been as good if you hadn't done what you've done already.
Yeah, I 100% agree there.
Yeah, it sounds like a pre-survey might be a good idea, because I don't know how much in the weeds people will want to get on their in a meeting. So being able to aggregate some of like the common themes that you see might help inform that conversation.
Okay.
Karen, what I would say is possibly we can send out a survey, but I do believe that it may need to have a follow-up one-on-one conversation, phone conversation, to help them through that survey, help them understand what we're after. And I think that we would get more information if we do that.
Okay.
All right, well, I don't know that we have anything else to discuss tonight. This is not a formal meeting. I did not have enough people for a quorum.
I think the one other thing I made I guess I had it on my little agenda. I highlighted a little note so I wouldn't forget. May 15th would be the next meeting, and Bruce and Pete and I have all said there's something else going on. So I guess we can't really make any decisions without a quorum, but we were going to discuss if maybe we just wait, but we may not be able to hold that meeting.
I think it's going to have to be something where we either reach out if you or Pete are not available, we'd have to either use an alternative date and then reach out to the, committee members to see their availability, or else phone until the following month.
Yeah, I'm good with either.
Hey, just one other thing. I can get the dates here real quick, but this year Louisville is hosting the Resource Recycling Conference, which is a great opportunity for people here to see what's happening on a national level and really sometimes international level when it comes to recycling. And they have some really great speakers and topics that really kind of reach towards the boundaries of where we are and making things better. So would love to, when we get that, to get some of that information out to you guys. Maybe the Waste Management District would fund any committee member to be able to attend. I think it'd be well worth the money. It's not your typical convention. I've been to it. It's pretty impressive.
Yep, I've been a few times. I did not go this past year in Orlando, but it is November 13th through 15th this year.
Save the date.
Pete, do you know if there's a way for us to, I don't know, are we going to be featured at this conference as the host city, or is there some way to elevate some of the work that you all are doing at this conference?
You know, to my knowledge, we have not been contacted, but I would definitely assume that they have been in conversations with the mayor's office or the conventions bureau. I think that the work is still to be done, but I think you're right. There should be something that the local can input into this.
Yeah, usually there is when you're there, wherever you go. When we went to Austin, you know, they definitely did some stuff. And the Recycling Partnership is one of the biggest entities that plans it. So I would think they reach out in time.
Okay, if you need our help reaching out or anything through the mayor's office to get connected, let us know. But yeah.
Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else, I guess we can call it a night. We don't need
Yep.
to adjourn.
Thanks, everybody. I'll be in contact about next month.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.